All right, so we rolling, man. We rolling.
We back.
What up, y'all, man?
Sipping this hot tea.
I think everybody is kind of wondering what's going on this week. Hopefully, y'all still tuning in with us, of course, and things are staying positive in your life, man. But of course, we want to come back, bring some more good energy for y'all as well, too. Again, my name is Jacques Wright.
Adrian Peace.
And this is the Nice Guys Podcast. And if y'all want to know, man, we got this gentleman right in the middle. His name is Nick.
Yeah.
Big Nick, man. Oh, that don't sound right. So we got Nick on here, man. He about to do his thing. And we breaking ice with him, of course, man. Hey, man, we do free ball a little bit today. But, of course, today we talking about is there a heaven or hell?
Man.
So it's a different type of conversation.
It's a deep topic.
Yeah, I like talking about it.
It gets deep, nigga.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And people, they'll argue with you tooth and nail, about the concept. Of course, I mean, because who wants to think about themselves going to eternal damnation versus going to a place that's graceful and peaceful?
Right.
Based off the acts they do in life. But then I always think about this, what that's put into place just to kind of keep you from being who you truly are, in terms of your nature. What you think about that, Nick? How you feel about it? Do you think whatever you've done at this point, what direction you going into heaven or hell, bro?
I say yes and no. Yes, because like some of the things that I've done, I feel good about and whatnot, and no, because of my past, where I've come from.
Okay.
But I've done better. I'm in a better place now.
Okay.
And whatnot. So it just, I guess I think back to the past trauma and whatnot. Like, is that going to, put me in my place, because of what I did or what I've done now, where I'm at? Am I a better person? And I won't have to worry about going back. But it depends for me, But then again, I'm spiritual, but it's a hard belief, I think.
Yeah.
Like I believe in God and whatnot. I pray and everything, but I think it's just hard to
the details.
Yeah. Because like for me, I can't believe something I never seen. You know what I mean? And that's where the faith comes in.
I'm the same way.
That's where the faith comes in.
I ain't seen it.
But it's just hard. Like, but with my family that I've grown up with and whatnot, and the beliefs that they have, I believe a lot of it. But it's just some of the things other people say that aren't in my family that I hear. I'm like, well, I don't know about that. Like that's not what I heard growing up. But then that's where the two sides come in. Where like, and then another thing is what really gets me is the Bible thing. It's been written so many times.
Right.
So like who's correct, who's not correct, but some of the stuff comes to back to the same topic and everything. Don't get me wrong, but it's just like, who you gonna believe though?
You know what I'm saying? That belief is something else. And I always tell people, man, it's one word, one letter that separates belief from belief. And like belief is to be deceptive and things of that nature, of course, based off somebody else's, control understanding of, or, controlling their understanding of terms of belief. It's a very interesting. Look up the word. I'm a little off kilter. I wish I had my computer, whatever, just to reference it because there's so many definitions. But it's that one letter, and I think that F stands for forget you. You know what I'm saying? Or F-U-O. That's why I feel like. But I mean, that's just my mindset. Hey, CeeLo, you feel what I'm saying? But I don't knock anybody for their beliefs. I just don't ever want anybody else to make me feel bad for what I believe in.
That's true. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I don't hate on nobody else's beliefs. I mean, everybody believes different things and whatnot. It's just, but then again, when it comes to that, it's just like, that's that, but you're in the real world. So, like your actions kind of, pertain on what you do here, not, in the afterlives and whatnot. It's just like how you leave your mark here now.
Okay.
Okay. And so.
This could be like, this is like one of the largest questions that we have as mankind, and at the same time it's like the question that I care the least about.
Really?
Because like to me, I've made a decision, like because I was raised Christian, of course, and reached a point in my life where I began to question that. Questions of, maybe I should just be agnostic, because how much do we really know? Who are we to say what's true and what's not? And so I feel like I'm thankful for that experience, because it gave me the ability to respect other people's views and stuff like that, and not be one of those Christians. But at the same time, I did come back around to Christianity and and this time choosing it for myself. So I made that decision, and with that comes believing in heaven and hell. But at the same time, it's like inconsequential to me, because at this, I'm like, no matter what, I'm gonna live my life this way.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like, I don't know. I mean, I'm doing me, man.
I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, doing you, I just feel like, I always say I feel like, but
Yeah, I do that a lot.
yeah, I
too.
do, yeah, and I notice in some of y'all see that in some interviews or the podcast episodes. Yeah, I do that a lot. I don't know why, but it's just something we typically say.
Yeah.
But
Feel the words.
in essence, I did grow up Christian, Baptist, Methodist, all that good stuff, non-denomination. I went through a lot of different, different terms or terminology in terms of just coming together to celebrate our Creator and things of that nature on every weekend type basis. And I felt like what I saw in the church arena versus what I saw at home,
Yeah.
a lot of times are two different things.
Absolutely.
So it felt like you put on this show and facade when you're in the church, but when I get home, it's a whole different demeanor about the situation. I feel like in terms of those religious, practices or things that are being imposed, it's like corporate America to me. I feel like it's a religious corporation that's supposed to get people to feel a certain way when they're in front of everybody else on the cameras and look good and swallowed up and all that good stuff.
You ever been
Swallowed up? And then it's like, I've also seen the other side where it's people that struggle with, different things or try to come at me with weirdness. I've told you about my experiences with pastors and like, hey man, I don't do that. I might be a handsome man, but I don't play that type of game. We don't play, bump and grind, all that. I've seen some different stuff. I think everybody's journey is different. And I think people are also afraid to kind of question what everybody else is thinking as a group.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I feel like that even religion still falls in that place of group thinking. Because if I go against everything else that everybody else is saying, that means that I'm, a heathen or I'm lack thereof of being a good person. But I might just not agree with everybody else is saying. I want to take tidbits of every other little piece that I learned from life, so I don't feel like I'm boxed in.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that might bother people, but I mean, for me, I think as an artist, he's just an artist. He thinks, and I think some very crazy. I'm gonna be honest. I'm like, damn, bro, where the fuck that come from? But at the same time, I know I'm not the only person sharing this same thought or these thoughts at times because I see it projected in movies and different scenarios, and then people reenact certain something. Like, oh, I would never do that, but I thought about it. So it's like, even still, there's certain things I challenge because of the fact that, this book helps me, or these, principles help me to get through life, but I'm still a human being. I want to learn and experience different things, different pieces. There are extra restrictions. I ain't doing no Diddy Bop. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to, I don't want to say shout out to him, but I ain't doing no Diddy Bop. Take that. And there's certain boundaries I know how to set for myself.
Yeah.
But my next question would be, do you feel like people need to have that heaven or hell presence or that religious faction to be in place to keep themselves mandated, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to control their true nature?
Yeah, I think some people do though. It's just like with the faith and everything. Like if you stay on that track and you believe in what you believe, then you will get to. It's like a goal. You know what I'm saying? When you make goals, you take every step until you reach that goal. But with this, it's a long-term goal because it's your life that you're talking about. You know what I mean? And so if you do what you're supposed to do, and do all the faith and what you believe in, then I think you can reach that goal of getting to heaven. And if you do what you're not supposed to do and go by your faith and religion, and it turns out bad, then you will go to hell and whatnot. But it just depends on where you're setting yourself to go to heaven or hell and whatnot. But I think people can go. It's just, and then another thing with the belief for me is just like, what is it though? Like, some people, and then what was it? That one thing we were watching talking about cremation.
Oh yeah, we were watching
about,
Star Talk.
And they're talking about cremation and whatnot, and you're just like, you're not really anything once you're cremated, So
they were talking about how there's when the molecules and stuff like how energy it isn't destroyed, so it has to go somewhere. When you're cremated, those molecules are burnt into nothing. So the ash, there's nothing there. The molecules are burnt and they shoot out as photons into the universe.
Right. So you return back to some place where your energy spreads out. So who's to say that your energy didn't spread out and come to this existence, spread it from a different past life or another piece of existence somewhere else within the universe. So, but you can't think those type of things when you live within that. I feel like in that box. Okay. Nothing against people that live in that feel comfortable in it, but I like to challenge certain things. Like, I don't believe in heaven and hell. I'm just gonna say that for off record. I don't believe in either one of those things, but I also do believe in like purpose and things of nature that do associate with that. I think we all are living an experience as a human being with a spirit within us or a certain like level of energy that's within us. And it I think it reflects, our skin, our bodies, the ways that we move, how we communicate, how we deal with people, our morals are, I feel like, already installed within whatever that energy is. And all you're doing is using this capsule, this body, in order to exhibit that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a true reflection of, but I also think like what you do here will play a part in that next level of existence or whatever pieces of energy you put out there to the universe. I always say that. I always feel like those pieces of who you are, it still reflects or refracts somewhere. That's why I was loving that movie, man. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once or something like that.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what I mean? It's just his piece. I know somebody else is thinking about these things, and I'm like, it is almost the epitome of what I think about sometimes. I was like, this movie's excellent because, I might be biased, but I think about this. I'm like, how do we know there's not another piece of ourselves somewhere else in the universe living as a star or celebrity, or and then you're able to tap into different pieces of that of yourself in order to be within this realm, be able to exhibit that. But if you only believe in heaven and hell, then that concept has to be, I feel like, erased. Because how all the different pieces of yourself within the universe being able to, collectively do different things, or individually do different things, but yet, only one part of yourself gets to go to heaven, another part goes to hell. So what I'm saying is that when you think about that concept, there's multiple different lives that you can be living throughout the universe. So then, if that one life that you're living in, that very existence at that time does a bunch of bad things, that part of you goes to hell. Then other lives end up go to heaven or hell.
So where I'm getting lost at is you saying part of you, but
that's not a part of you.
That's not.
It's a whole different.
Yeah, if it's a whole different you, how's it you?
Yeah.
But how can that, okay, so how is your existence? It is a different you, it's a different person, or I guess entirely a different individual, but if you're still collectively a part of that separation, like in that movie, she had different lives of herself that were being, challenged or being killed off in order to get to that one individual. So still, in a sense, they have a connection in some kind of way within the universe.
Yeah.
Even though they're separate people, but I'm saying those separate lives. So are you saying that within these separate lives, depending on which life is being lived a certain way, each one has a choice to go to heaven and hell?
It depends if they're religious or not. Those other ones.
I feel like that would be logical.
I mean that makes sense logically. I'm not negating that, but I'm also thinking to myself like, so why would he have these multiple different lives to make a choice? Like it's like, why are those things completely in different respects? Why can't it just be one life that's being lived out? It's so many different thoughts that come to mind.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? It gets complicated.
Exactly.
So to me, it's like, okay, I can live this life as Jacques Quill. Somebody else can live as Jacques Quill a certain way, and somebody else can live a Jacques Quill a certain way. And depending on that walk of life, and depending on this walk of life and that walk of life, we all make separate decisions. And then each one of us has a decision whether or not we can go to heaven or hell.
I think I'd believe in that if, like, once we figure out there's other life on other planets, then that's something I think I could dig deeper into. Being other people, being other parts of you different,
Okay.
Because, there's, like, millions of galaxies, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so, like, who says we're the only Earth, type stuff?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's quite we haven't gotten to that place in space, But so this, like, it's just interesting to me, like, could I tap into those other people? Could I tap into those other individuals and based on what they're living in, like, or whatever kind of skill sets they have, can I tap into that existence, into this existence? And then
but then I feel like that goes into like certain people would be like they say, it's like, you work hard at it, you can do whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? So like, if that person that you think of is doing that certain type of talent or whatnot, it's just like, then somebody can just come to you and be like, well, why don't you just work hard at that and just do that?
But I think he's talking about like literally. Are you talking like, it's like the movie? Like type beat?
If I had a Bluetooth set and everything,
right.
I don't get me wrong, I hit that thing.
So what I'm trying to really get is like, okay, why do we all share different lives if we're all like the same person that's in different parts of the existence within, different parts of the universe? Why can't it just be one life being lived? Why do we have to be in multiple different places simultaneously at the same time? And then with that being the fact, it's like, okay, well, the creator or creator or creators, I'm not sure people believe in, polytheism, whatever. Why would you create multiple different versions of myself that challenge me? And then on top of that, it's like, well, and why would you create a space for me to go good or bad and you could just let me go to heaven and just live there.
Mm-hmm.
Or just create a hell and just put me there. Why do I have to prove in this existence, in this medium, all these different things to show proof that I am worthy to be in this place? And it's like, you're just going to put me in this position that I have to make these choices and decisions when I can just live in peace.
Yeah, I think that just put too much pressure on somebody if they're thinking about that all the time. Like, I got to do this so I can get, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
that's
like,
why I started this by saying, like, this is the question I care the least about, because it gets into all of these questions that it's like, I think it's a great conversation, but
right.
there's no way I can ever have the answer to any of these questions.
No.
And to take it a step further, there's no way that I could even fathom being intelligent enough to be able to even grasp 1% of, you know, the understanding that it would take for me to, you know, figure any of that out. Like,
right.
There's literal, like, quantum physicists and stuff like that study things like this, and they know, like, 1%. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's just like, it's one of those things to me where it's like it's like the Russian nesting dolls, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It's like you open one of them and there's always another one in there. So, like, we started this conversation talking about heaven and hell, and as you see, it's grown into talking about multiple universes and stuff like that. But now I would say too, when the Bible was written, we didn't even really have any basis to think about there being multiple galaxies and stuff like that.
Mm.
So
everybody believed the Earth was
so I mean, I would be ignorant as a Christian to deny that the Bible is a overly simplified way of or mechanism for dealing with things that are not local, quote unquote. You know what I'm saying? Local as in planetary, as in specific to the Earth, and in fact, a specific time on the Earth. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's the governing book for the governing set of rules for a whole group of people, but at the same time, it's very dated and very limited in the knowledge as opposed, you know, in relation to what we now know. You know what I'm saying?
And I mean, I like what you're saying in a sense as well, but I also just think to myself too, the reason why I question these things, I'm never saying I'm the most intelligent or what I don't think that I don't even care about being the most intelligent. I just more so think to myself, like, I should be able to question these things constantly if I want to. And who is that person to tell me based off them creating this book that I shouldn't challenge that or shouldn't question whether or not that is in place, you know, whether there is a heaven or hell. And because everybody else thinks it or agrees to it doesn't mean that I have to.
Well, we're saying the same thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. But at the same, I just feel like a lot of times what I'm really trying to get is that people kind of get, like you said, you were born into it, or people were brought up in certain ways of believing or thinking, and that's more comfortable for them, so they don't have to kind of question these things constantly. They just go to work an 8-hour shift, 12-hour shift, 16-hour, whatever you want to do with your just over broke. And then at the same time, just live life comfortably, just, you know, in that space, because they know as human beings, we are habitual. We do the same. I say to myself all the time, I do the same shit, even though I know I shouldn't be eating Taco Bell. I eat the meat. So I basically try to tell myself, well, I get the refried green beans. It's better substitute. I justify certain things. So what I'm trying to get at is, like, I wonder if people feel like, because they have that premise of whether or not heaven and hell exists, that's what makes them a good person, or quote unquote a good person. And if they didn't have that in place, who would you truly be? Yeah, I feel like, who are you really without that put into place, without that book, without those teachings, without that person telling you what to do every Sunday? Who are you without that? Can you create your own religion? Like, I mean, no offense to Killer Mike, but he had that what's that show? It was a show called it was on Netflix.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was called.
It's gonna come back to me when I'm not thinking about it.
You're right.
But y'all know exactly what I'm saying. I think it's oh my goodness, it'll come back to me. I should have.
That white dude, right?
It was a show based off trigger warning. there we go. I think it was called like Trigger Warning or something like that.
Yeah.
And you basically said, well, why can't I just create my own religion, create my own Jesus, create this and create that, and see who's going to believe in it? Because you have cults and all types of stuff that people would sit there and they believe in what they believe in.
Starts or whatnot.
Yeah, so it's just like what makes them a completely separate situation, because as human beings, it helps to have those things put into place and principles and stuff like that, put into place, laws, whatever the situation may be. But if you didn't have those, I just get to I truly want to know who I am without those things. Can I still be self-sufficient or be self-disciplined enough in order to live within this existence and do the quote-unquote right things without having a book telling me instructionally everything I need to do?
Yeah.
And if that is the case, then, that's interesting, but I think, psychologically that's put into place intentionally to kind of put you in a position they can control you or whoever they is. But it's like, why can't I take excerpts of different pieces of different parts of understanding and still be comfortable with doing so? And not be a bad person, looked at as being a heathen or going against the good word and things of that nature. I mean, that word, I wasn't there when they was writing it. Mm-hmm. So how do I know they're not putting it in place for me to just be like, I'm just going to follow suit because I don't want to make anybody else uncomfortable or jeopardize my livelihood based on somebody else being upset with the way that I'm thinking?
I think, and then I think another thing is like, what are you going to, like, when it's your time to go and whatnot, like, are you going to be thinking about that at that last second of your life, Like,
no.
That's a good question.
Depend, like, not, God forbid anything happens to y'all, but, like, somebody, me, I get shot, that's how I go. Like, you're in that moment and whatnot, looking at the barrel of a gun, you're not thinking, like, oh, am I going to heaven or hell after this, Like, and so, I mean, your beliefs and whatnot, like, that's where, like, you think you've done good in your life and what. I just don't think, like, when it comes to that time, that's not something you're thinking about either. It's heaven or hell. That's something, like, you're thinking, like, now, or, like, on an every other day basis, like, like, oh, look, I did a good deed, that's going to give me one step closer. Not, like, talking to them, but just, like, when you come to that moment at the end of your time, it's like, are you thinking about that? Or are you, like, what are you thinking about at the end of the day, So, like, but then again, if people believe in that, maybe they are thinking about that. Like, or I can see somebody sick, on their
right. Yeah, I was about to say that.
You're on your deathbed and whatnot. You're thinking about all the good times, bad times, and you're like, oh man, this is it. Like, what's gonna
right? If not, if it's a situation like you were talking about, I feel like my last thought is just gonna be, damn.
Honestly, you telling yourself like, I'm thinking about.
I'm gonna turn to Samuel Jackson, mother.
You say you don't think about your family and everything, right? But like, you don't know until that last second.
Like, I'm gonna be like, dang, this is my first time wearing these shoes.
Yeah. Or like you driving in a car accident, you jamming out to your favorite song. You know what I'm saying? Then boom, it's over.
And I think also, I feel like everybody's experience is different within this life, and that's the reason why because for me personally, I've seen people be taken out of this world and craziness, whatever, in the blink of an eye. You know what I mean? Right, their life being changed dramatically in such a quick second. It's like, that can happen. So let me just do as much as I possibly can while I'm existing, and not doing bad stuff to people. Nobody ever take that as that. I don't sit there and be trying to like, let me go ahead and be a person to take from people or do something bogus to people because, it doesn't matter when I die. It's more so I want to make sure that I am focused on what my individual purpose is and not what somebody else's personal bias is, what they think I should be doing. It's like, what do I think I need to be doing in this existence up until the end point? Because, I mean, I'm not guaranteed the next 30, 60 seconds. Because how else could be boom? It could be blown up in one instant. It could be one of them Nagasaki, Hiroshima. It never happens, but Nagasaki, that happens to them.
Absolutely.
As a retaliation. I was watching a documentary on Netflix about the World War II situation. They weren't expecting a nuclear bomb to be blown out. They were just doing what they thought was right based on what was everybody else was telling them was right to do against the Americans and the Axis or whatever the situation was. It's just life is tripped out like that.
Yeah, absolutely. To your earlier point, I feel like we know.
I got you thinking about that.
Yeah. To your point, we know that as human beings, we are wired a certain way, and we're wired to always search for a belief system or to like I was telling you when I was going through my phases of questioning everything like that. It was kind of for that reason of like, asking myself, why should I, have to acquiesce or go along with these things, and just all of those things that you ask yourself when you're trying to figure out the truth. of life and what life is and stuff like that. But without that thing, we all still have that innate like questioning, you know, inside of us. We all have that innate need to feel like we're a part of something. We all have that innate need to follow someone. It's in our everyday life and in small ways, right? We follow
like
people on Instagram. We follow celebrities. We follow, yeah.
What?
I was saying, yeah, like we always look to be a part of something bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
And we look for social proof. What was everybody? What are these people to say? What did Kobe Bryant say? What was Nip saying about that? Like we all choose our own prophets and stuff like that on a daily basis.
See, when you say that reminds me of like that Martin Luther King quote. It's like if you don't, well, I don't know how it goes, but I heard it the past couple of days. Like if you don't have something to believe in or follow, then what's the point of you living or what? Like why should you live? Or
basically,
like
what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly.
So
like that's just the way that we're wired as human beings. Like we.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have any. I feel like we can't live any other way.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we can, but I think.
But I believe what you're saying is correct. Is like because if not, you just sit in a room all alone. Like, let's take people like from like if you're people in jail and prison. You know, like they're all alone and whatnot. But what they do sometimes, like not everybody, but they read books, keep themselves occupied and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Like my uncle, whenever he went, he was in there for like 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
When he had went, like he just started reading and whatnot. You know, lifting weights, but. Him reading the Bible over and over again to give him a new side of belief.
Exactly.
And when he came out, he was like not a different person, but like he was just a new kind of better person than what he was when he went in and whatnot. Because he had something to look forward to and believe in. And so, but yeah, I think like you said, just like you have to have somebody to look like up to and whatnot and follow. And it's like not saying you won't do exactly what they do, but it gives you your own self-perspective, how to become your own self, become better at who you are. And what
exactly.
You
and to the latter point of what you were saying, like why should I have to, why when I do this I'm looked at as this? But I would say to that, like I eat red meat sometimes. You know what I'm saying? But I don't be like, man, why these Islam niggas looking at me like this? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like since I'm not a part of, I don't subscribe to that. I don't what's the word? Damn.
got me.
I can't think of the word either.
Yeah. Since I don't subscribe to that, I'm not a part of that. I don't like look at that as I don't measure myself against that. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
that makes sense.
Like that doesn't have any bearing on me whatsoever, because I'm not Muslim.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like people who do drink alcohol and do drugs stuff like that.
I have a question. I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm not going to say it out loud. I am just because I know some people probably think. So when you mentioned that uncle or I have an uncle that went to prison. He did some things too that he shouldn't have done, but a couple times and could have stayed out.
Right.
Do you feel like it's fair that prison was created for him or that people that done what he done specifically, but then there's been atrocities that have been done within the same space that we live in this country that nobody else is to blame to be blamed for, but they created the rules for you or the next set of people in order to say, well, this is in place now. I did what I did. I took everything I needed to take. I was able to survive. I did everything within my human, because it's all about geneticism. When it comes down to everything that we do, the reason why certain individuals are looked down upon is because we understand that most of what men do is for the opposite sex. It's certain things that we already know innately. So it's like, well, these people know that they can create themselves to be superior, or whoever these individuals are, and still take what they need to take from whoever they need to take from, and then create a system for everybody else to follow. Who's to incriminate those individuals that created the system in the first place? Because they're the ones that created the system initially. I mean, because what I'm trying to get is like, if your uncle may have exhibited some of the same behaviors that somebody else might have done, maybe stolen, taken from somebody, may have killed somebody, may have raped somebody, but yet other people have done the same thing that's been put on the hierarchy so that the same rules don't apply to them. Do you think that's fair? Because you do see that sometimes in certain places when it comes to belief. Like, well,
I mean, like you're saying, like it is and it isn't. It's like not everybody gets treated the same and whatnot, but like what's other people who don't do what my family members and other people done, they don't see what we've done. They haven't done it. So like they can't really, they're just saying they go by their beliefs and how they feel the law should be laid down and whatnot, you know?
Because if somebody created a wall for some other people not to come into this existence or come into this place and this content to live, how would they have felt about the situation? Would they feel disgruntled about the situation because, of course, well, I want to get away from whoever's, Catholicism, and would they get away from them so they can't continue to keep beheading me and hanging our people or, persecuting for being Protestant or some type of other, religious belief or, sector? Do you think it's fair if somebody were to create a blockade or a wall to say, you can't come here, you better go back and deal with your own issues back where you were at before and deal with things there? But yet when they got here, they got established, they were to create a wall for somebody else.
I know you threw me way off with that question. Right?
My bad. No, the reason I'm saying that is because it's like, well...
So you're asking if what he got, he deserved? Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm not saying he deserves that. What I'm trying to say, do you think it's fair that those people that created those rules or
have done the same things?
They have done the same exact things that he might have done and exhibited.
I mean, it just depends. You don't know if they've done it or not and whatnot. But like, what's that? People, they have the higher power, so they get to do whatever they want in a sense. You know what I mean?
But who gave them the higher power?
Other white people, probably.
Well, isn't there a power? But I'm saying with religion and heaven and hell, isn't there a power above those individuals that's supposed to dictate and say, well, that's not right. I should just turn you into a singular soul because you did the wrong thing. You look back.
Yeah, that's a tough question.
You know what I'm saying? You look backwards. I told you not to look back. Boom, now now you're a pillar or so. Like, do you think that, because those individuals create the rules, even though they're still human, just like the rest of us,
right,
and they're not dealing with the same situation that your family might not, because some people come over here and they can live a certain, they might struggle a little bit more, but there's some people that want to cut corners and do some things they're not supposed to do, and they're going to go a lot further,
they didn't get caught. Yeah, that's all it is. They didn't get caught.
So with religion, you have to put that in place to say, well, this is justifiable by this religion and also by this law that's created to say, well, you did wrong. You need to abide by this, even though I know these rules are, I can bend them a little bit for myself, but I can keep it concrete for you.
They hold all the power, so they ain't gotta.
Yeah, it's like when there's like two brothers or two siblings in a household. And they're both raised the same way, but they both end up going completely different directions.
Ways, yeah.
To me, it's kind of that thing. It's like, for me, I only had to get whooped once, and I ain't doing it no more because I don't like pain. I don't like getting whooped. I was scared of my dad. I was scared of my dad. I wouldn't.
Yeah. Oh yeah, his dad's scared. I agree.
I was like, no, I'm good. My brother. It's a completely different situation. Yeah, granted, we weren't raised in the same house, but still, very, very different situation. So I feel like for some people, we have a different understanding of consequence, and I think that's what it boils down to. Some people have to, especially who are born with a silver spoon already. So they already have privilege and never will have to face the same type of consequences. We talked about this on Fame versus Infamy with Khalil. Shout out Khalil. When are they really infamous? You know what I'm saying? So it's like
for the actions.
Yeah. So it's like even if they do time, they probably not doing as much time as the black person.
And do they have to be accountable for the actions? Because I create a rule, so I tell you what's wrong by what I do. Right, quote unquote, what's right by my understanding of situations. And now I can tell you're a no-gooder. Yeah. And you shouldn't have done that. You should have stayed on the porch and you should have listened to what I said to do. And now you have to follow. But it's like that quote, they say, do as I say, but not as I do type situation. Yeah. As a parent, I'm like, if your parents can sit there and lie to you and tell you certain things and get you to do things, who's to say that somebody above them can't do the same situation?
Because if you have a different understanding of what a consequence is to begin with, and you don't really feel like it applies to you, then of course you're going to use it against the people you feel like it should apply to, right? If you feel like those people are below you, you know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, human nature is such that, we we get haughty-minded, we get narcissistic and stuff like that. And like I said, if you never faced consequences before, so you starting off on this place of, I'm up here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I was talking about this before as well, too, about like creator, right? Universe, God, Yahweh, whatever you want to call
Life.
Allah, most powerful, but creates a league of angels. Creates one that's a light bearer, one of the most powerful angels in, quote unquote heaven that we have not seen just yet. And he goes against those things and tries to create his own legion of angels to fight against what's put in place in terms of authority, or the authority that already created him. And because of that opposition, he's damned from that place. But you gave him that much power, right? In order to be able to challenge that system that you already put into place, quote unquote, in heaven. Case in point, Saddam Hussein. They put him in a position, made friends with him, gave him all his power. And then once, of course, they need no use for that individual any longer. I'm just making, similar metaphors, similes, whatever you want to call it, and connections there. Okay, now we're going to get rid of you because, of course, you've gone against the system that we already put into place. But we were befriending you until you actually have no use to us any longer. Or you go in opposition of us. But we put you in that position of power in order to be in opposition. Do you think that's fair? I mean, same kind of situation I feel like happened with Gaddafi. But that's just me and what I've observed. And then I feel like, I said it again, I've noticed that, when you look at religion and things of that nature, you put people in these higher positions of authority, give them all this power, like we mentioned before, you have absolute power when you become corrupted. Yeah. Because that you're still in your human nature. Right. And that's why I was like, I was talking about this in another conversation, do you believe in the devil being in opposition to God, or you just believe in human nature? Because human nature says, well, if I get this much power, shout out to 50 Cent and Ghost, and I forget his name, it'll come back to me when I'm not thinking about it, light-skinned cat. You put them in that much power, and then you don't expect them to become corrupt at some point and have to be dismantled or taken out of their position. But you gave them that authority. You know what I'm saying? And I just find all those things very, I'm just playing devil advocate.
See, when you say power, I just feel like you're just saying money in a sense.
It could be power, money. No, I mean,
because money is power.
It is because people follow it. They believe in that system. Right. We know that money is only a trade and barter. You really don't know what it's backed by, but people believe in money. Right. I feel like money and the creation is about the same, because nobody wants to go to work, but you get up every day and you're going to go do that in order to actually try to attain or do certain things in order to fulfill what you need to accomplish. Right. Which makes it a little bit harder to do and takes you a little bit longer to do. But it's systemically put into place so that you can actually be in that position like that, because you have to create laws and control. Control and power, to me, are about one and the same, synonymous. Yeah. And then when you have religion put into place in order to actually, sustain that power to control people's mindsets and their movements and what they wake up and do, then of course you have control there. So then why would there be opposition when it makes sense and they understand the psychology of human beings and them being habitual? Well, if I put this into place because of fear and other things that they don't want to have to be challenged by or be lack thereof, they're going to follow this system because nobody wants to take that chance and like I call it the penguin effect, push that nigga off the cliff and see whether or not there's a killer whale in the water. See if somebody gonna get gobbled up. They rather just fall within line.
See if he gets swallowed.
Swallowed up. So I just find it very interesting as I get older and just observe these different things and see it. And I just like to ask these type of questions. I think about them a lot, actually. Not that it daunts me or keeps me from being able to feel what I need to do, but I find it very peculiar to see these things put into place intrinsically and nobody ever really tries it. They might question it, but then it's like, that glimmer, like, no. Okay, I'm not going to that rabbit hole and start going down, like you said, those, what they call the Russian joint with the dogs. Nested dogs. Yeah, nested dogs. And nobody wants to go and challenge those type of things because it's just too much. At that point, you probably just become homeless at that point. I'll be challenging homeless people. Because they kind of, some of them cats, they will break out and thought you like, dang, what did you just say? Right. Genius thing I ever heard in my life. Yeah, they're like,
I've got some wisdom for some homeless people.
And we look at them like they're crazy, right? But the definition of insanity says what? To do the same thing over and over again, expecting to change. Right? So are we crazy or are they fucking crazy?
I've had a lot of instances in life that have taught me I'm very thankful for that. Have taught me to just be more respectful of how people choose to live their life. Because I had a cousin, well, a great cousin, I guess, my dad's cousin. Oh, we called him Uncle. I called him Uncle Paul. He was homeless, and like we tried to help him multiple times. Got him a house.
Yeah.
Nah, I live on the streets.
I don't even knock homeless folks. I mean, unfortunately, I've seen a friend pass away. He just kind of gave up because he was a huge fan of Marcus Garvey. But yeah, and he was part of the Black Male Initiative in Northern Illinois University's campus. Shout out to y'all for that, allowing it to take place. And he was all about, helping African Americans within the community, or people, of brown skin or whatever. He went to a party to celebrate whatever the situation was, to be commemorated for what he did. And somebody slipped something in his drink, and he lost it because he had to go to the hospital. And I think that pained him so much that he just kind of gave up on everything. Saw him downtown, couldn't recognize him, but was always communicating with him on Facebook because he's a poet as well. He was a part of our, shout out to, we had a group called Poetic Asylum back in college, me and my ex-girlfriend and some other people. I was part of the board. We created our own organization, whatever the situation is, on 2 different campuses actually. The other one was called Writer's Block. And saw him at Harold Washington College. Shout out to that, I'm from Chicago, of course. And I'm like, damn, bro, I didn't know you was homeless. I felt bad to see that, and it's like within his existence, understanding heaven and hell and those principles, I'm tying it back to that, of course. I'm pretty sure whatever he believed in, at that very moment when somebody drugged him and he went through that experience, his whole belief system probably was shattered. Yeah. How can you trust people that you love so much to do the right thing, but yet you get in a position of something that could be celebratory that he was doing, or people that hated you, but you loved them so much, it just basically destroyed him. And then he ended up dying. Because, you become homeless, you start eating the wrong things out of garbage can, got a parasite, things of that nature. He ended up dying like a week later after I saw him.
Wow.
Damn.
And his family hadn't seen him in 4 years.
That's wild.
That's crazy.
So it's like, and I'm getting into that because it's interesting to see people have a walk of life and understanding and belief that's so strong. That same belief, that same love. Boom. You know what I'm saying? Like, who's to say that at that point, maybe he questioned heaven or hell, whether or not that existed. Or why would the Creator allow people to do this to me when I have so much passion and love for Pan-Africanism or whatever the situation is, which he did. Very good dude. Clean cut. I ain't never seen him like that. I mean, he's like a whole different person. Like a shadow. He couldn't look me in the eyes. Did I cry? Hell yeah, I cried. Yeah. I don't like crying. You'll never probably ever see me cry in public. But I broke out. I was walking to work. And I felt bad because, of course, I'm in a mission. I'm like, I got to get to work on time. But I get the news about him dying. And I saw him and I couldn't speak to him fully because I was going back to work. Yeah. That same system that was put in place for me to follow in order to get this money that I believe in and everybody else believes in, to keep things sustained, to keep my bills paid, I thought of that over him, to maybe have a conversation with him, which I'm hoping in retrospect he would have had with me. But yet I decided to continue to keep doing what I was going to do. Right. And then he ended up dying in the lagoon. I'm saying I could have saved him, but I just felt like because of my belief and what I was thinking at that time, and that's why I'm challenging the concept. And it all ties. I mean, y'all probably like, what the fuck is he going? I'm just like, well, I believed in this system of work and trade and barter, trading my time for money, more than I believed in him at that moment to potentially have a conversation with him. And I walked away from the situation and dying. So did I miss something in terms of my journey, my purpose? Potentially. Not saying I'm knocking myself, but it just happened.
I mean, I don't think it did because, like, it wasn't
my fault.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But, like, not saying, like you said, it's not your fault, but, I mean, you have no control over that. Like, how wouldn't, like, you're in that moment of thinking how you're thinking, going to work and whatnot, Yes, probably after, once you got there, you're like you said, you thought, like, damn, I should have, stopped and talked to him and whatnot, but.
I tried to. I only had 15 minutes left of my lunch.
No, right, but, like you said, it's just
bro.
You can't blame yourself for something like that. The only thing you blame yourself is just the conversation that you didn't have with
them. You can't. What I'm trying to get is more so I get that, but it's like that. Those systems. We have these systems that are put into place. We have our own rules and things that we have to follow. But it's just like, in that moment, if I would have broke away from that system and be challenged what I truly believe at that very moment,
do you think the concept of heaven and hell is detrimental in any way to society?
I don't want to say it's detrimental. But I feel like for some people it works, some people it doesn't. And I think it's needed. And that sounds funny. And I'm saying after all this. But I do think it's needed because there's some people out there that's beyond wicked within their nature. And if they didn't have that in place, take that, baby. Yeah. Bad boy, baby. I mean, they'll tell you in your face
Right.
what they're gonna do,
Right.
and then they'll go back to the same church and be like, swallow it up. You know what I'm saying? And you see these connections we put together. It's like people, some people actually need that implemented in place in order to keep themselves from being just over the top.
Yeah.
You know, in control of everything, being bogus to everybody just for selfish gain. Because at the end of the day, we all have our own self-centered intentions on certain things that we want to accomplish and do in life, but to what extent and to what detriment to other people. And I think that religion allows you to be, what's the right word? I'm trying to, this damn looking. Religion steps into place to actually create that jurisdiction so that, of course, you're not allowed to just go beyond crazy with your power and what you've been able to accomplish. Because some people have a gift to be able to get people to do things.
I think this would be another good topic for somebody who is going to church religiously. You know what I'm saying? Like asking them that question, like, how do they,
for sure.
how do they feel about heaven and hell, like what they believe in it? Because like with us, I know you go to church and you go to church. No, I don't go to church. Now I'm not opposed to it, and I just don't go. It's just like, but we know those goers who do go. You know, damn well they're gonna have a whole different.
I've had conversations with folks like that, and I've been told that I'm a faggot and I'm going to hell.
Because you don't go to church.
Yeah, dang.
Just in general, like certain things that I just didn't understand or believe. And I've had conversations with people that were atheists, and they were a lot more peaceful and understanding of conversations than those that have been, you know, put into the church and really truly believe in that forefront. I'm not knocking anybody that goes to church.
No, yeah.
But I just see a different reaction from those that have a perspective outside of that realm. Because, of course, when you challenge somebody's belief system and what's going to happen to them in the unknown, it's going to create fear, creates anger.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And a reactionary response that is not always...
Especially if we have somebody older in the church.
And religion is tied into like morality. And so it's like if you don't subscribe to the same morality, system of morality that I subscribe to, what does that mean for society as a whole? You know what I'm saying? If you don't believe in what I believe in, how do I know you're not going to start raping and pillaging? You know what I'm saying? How do I know that you're not going to have sex with my daughter?
Right.
How do I know you're not going to steal my things? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but like that's the literal like fear that is sparked, even though it might not be conscious. Subconsciously, that's what it's striking in people when you don't necessarily believe in what they're believing. To your point of like, that fear. So like I try to acknowledge that I'm not a typical Christian, but at the same time, I try to give some grace to Christians and
what is
and saying. Christian? I feel like the typical Christian is kind of, and I hate to say this, but it's like is what he was describing is like very judgmental, very thinking one way about a thing, and I think that it's changed over the years and the Christian church has become more accepting of hearing certain things, but at the same time, I have to knock the Christian church because they've also become accepting of a lot of things that they shouldn't. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like. They have struggled to find an acceptable, what I would say is an acceptable line to walk as far as living according to this word that you say you believe in, and understanding that there is still history and science, you know what I'm saying, and that there is still a world and human nature. So because it's like so many, like I came from a church initially where you were basically like heaven and hell was the main theme that was talked about. And I hated that. My mom hated that too. She wrote a whole book about it basically. And you were taught that if you didn't go to this type of church, even though like you're Christian, Baptist is Christian, all of this other stuff, but if you didn't go to this specific type of church, you wasn't going to heaven. It had to be Church of Christ or you're not going to heaven. Baptists, they're not going to heaven. That is crazy.
Do you think that's fair? Like, so what I'm going to definitely ultimately get to is, well, not to cut you off completely. because I love what you're saying because that's important. Do you think that it's fair? Do you think people should be able to find their walk versus having to be just taught or saying you're going to be Christian because I was raised this type of way? Do you think people should be able to find their own way of belief instead of being like, well, I'm Christian or I'm a, no, I'm just going to sound outlandish. I'm a blood, I'm a Crip.
Mm-hmm.
You got to follow this same subsuit.
Mm-hmm.
Subsuit. You
I
know
feel
what I'm
like some
saying?
people don't have the choice though.
Yeah.
You know
well,
what I mean?
that's for me. I think about this a lot because I sometimes I want to have kids.
Right.
Sometimes I feel it. I get in that mood. And I'm like,
I can't even see her, bro.
I want
I
a little daughter or something. You know what I'm saying? So I think about like, okay, if I had kids, how would I raise them? Would I raise them
Right, yeah.
like, yo, you believe in God? Or would I give them the choice, like you said? Or would I wait till a certain age and be
That's
like,
like another thing. It's like I'm not gonna treat my kid how my parents treated me. You know what I mean?
yeah. And so for me, I feel like I said, because I grew up in that church where it's like, boom, heaven, hell. And to go back to what I was saying briefly, because that was the main thing that was taught, there was so much emphasis not being put on what Christianity is really supposed to be about.
Right.
Or what religion is really supposed to be about. Or what morality is really supposed to be about. You know what I'm saying? Like love.
That's
Love is the biggest thing. So it's like I definitely want to teach, like if I have a daughter or something like that, I definitely want to teach her like these are the concepts and stuff, these are the things that we believe in. Love thy neighbor, you know what I'm saying, forgiveness, the main things that Christianity is about. But I do think that there should be a choice given of like once you get to a certain age, or there should be an education happening alongside that of like, there's a lot of people that don't believe this.
Yeah.
And there's religion that we preach, per se, also teaches that these people who don't acknowledge Jesus as our Lord and Savior are not going to heaven. But that may not necessarily
But
be
who are
true.
you to say that they're going to go to heaven and hell? You didn't create it.
Yeah. There should be that education alongside that of like, you know, we're humans.
Because I had this conversation
You know what I'm
about
saying?
one time in church again, and it was a conversation about that because, of course, there's people in the world that again, the Holy Crusade, all of this stuff did not hit them, and there are people in that region of the world they don't believe in it. Well, you say, well, and his justification based off him being a theology major was that, well, if they don't know that information readily available because it was never presented to them, of course they'll be provided grace by the Creator because of course they weren't introduced to it. But if they had known about it, then that's when they're going to be persecuted or being judged once they go to the heaven gate. That was his justification behind whether or not they were being introduced to religion or not, whether or not they were going to go to heaven or hell. And then I'm like, well, it's just like, what if I choose to become a Buddhist because I don't believe in those concepts and feel comfortable with that? Am I wrong for that still? And it's just, it's very interesting within existence because at the end of the day, to me, not how I feel, but what I've seen or what I understand is that, excuse me, and it's nothing profound about to say prolific, but it's like who created this? Like, I have not gone there and came back or been able to express what they have. We can go to China, we can go to Japan, we can go to Europe, we can go to Norway, we can go to, everything is within this same place. We can go to these places and come back and talk about it. But I have yet met anybody that's actually went there. So I went to heaven for a little while, man. I chilled, talked to Jesus, maybe sipped on a little wine, and we came back, and I can tell you all about it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You want to do this, do that, and the third, and then you'll be able to get up in there and you'll be good. You know what I'm saying? It's a little bit close. So it's, I think, like you said, when it ties back to that faith principle as well, whether or not you believe, whether or not that it exists, that's up to you. I mean, for me, I kind of see it a little different. I'm just like, how do I not know that heaven and hell can be in this existence based off the way that I think and what I feel about myself and what I'm doing in terms of my purpose? Because people can be living through hell here just so they can get to a point where they can go to heaven after they die.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, there's a heaven and hell.
Like
here
slaves,
without having
slaves was taught on this same very soil. You know what I'm saying? That you need to be a slave because that's in the Bible. You are not a human being. You're subhuman. And you gotta live this life. You gotta work until your fucking ligaments fall apart, and we're allowed to rape you because you're not a human being. And then when you die, who knows what you're a heathen, you're a spook. You know what I'm saying? And they live that existence within their, experience with being a human being here on the soil. But who's to say that, they have a sublet for slave heaven or slave hell. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, how do you create that? You know what I'm saying? It's it's so many layers, man.
Right.
That I think about when it comes to that. So I'm playing devil's advocate,
Absolutely.
man.
It's-
But I had to throw that out there because I have these thoughts. I'm like, you know, I'm born into slavery. I can't really fight for myself as a free person, quote unquote. Like, who makes me free anyway?
Mhm.
And then on top of that, you tell me that I'm probably not even deserving of actually going to heaven and hell after I die.
Mhm.
Who are you to tell me where I can and cannot go? There's just so many questions and so many layers that I think about. So
Sounds like a non-believer right there.
and,
Like you,
this will
people
be.
saying, you know,
it's cool.
can you go to heaven?
It's like,
I'm not angry at it. It's just like,
I feel like, what's it called? Cognitive dissonance too. Around this point too is like the theory, like you catch more flies with honey than
yeah.
you know what I'm saying, than vinegar. So it's like maybe if the church was a bit more accepting of different lifestyles and stuff like that, and was less judgmental, then people would feel more welcome there. But you also have.
But then it ties
Can
back
I
to human
even-
nature because they're still humans living this existence trying to tell you how to get somewhere they've never been as a human being. You know what I'm saying? They're telling you because
that
of the
comes
fact.
where my seeing is believing type thing. You
Yeah,
know
it's
what I mean?
like, and then one of the disciples of Jesus Christ was like the same, was it Peter or Paul? Which one was it?
I don't know.
One of the disciples, but they,
Right.
I'm just saying, like, you know, you see that, and it's just like, who are you to tell me, you know, based off me loving the same person or the same? I'm
Might have been
not
Clarence.
I'm not.
He said Clarence.
I'm not part of that community, but shout out to y'all. Yeah, y'all do your thing, whatever. But if you love the same sex, whatever, who am I to tell you that you wrong for
Right.
doing? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Those type of things. I mean, I don't like it, you know, personally. But who am I to tell somebody else what they should not like?
Right.
So it's just like I just find, you know, religion to be very interesting in that perspective because it does make it so that I have a position where I can tell you what should be good and what should be bad.
Mhm.
Whereas you haven't really made a finite decision based off your experience to tell you
Right.
what's good or bad
Mhm.
or heaven and hell. Because
I
that's what I see
mean-
heaven and hell. I mean, that sounds pretty simplistic.
Besides it being heaven and hell, I just want to know what it's really like, though. Like, you know, when you go to heaven, is it like a big old party? You know?
And some people live here in heaven on this
Yeah.
existence because of some of the things, hellish things they did, and
Like,
what their forefathers did.
like,
and
what
nobody's
is,
questioning.
what is hell? Like, what would you
I
be
think
doing
about
in
it
hell?
like, cause you know,
besides
like
it being on fire,
the
you know?
Right, eternal
Like,
damnation.
yeah,
the
that's
pool
what
of
they
fire.
say. Like,
The
you
devil
just
is dead.
are you living your regular life just in fire? That's it, or is it like you being a slave with fire and
Yeah.
shit like that? You know?
for real.
See, this type of stuff right here would have got me burnt at the stake. he's a warlock.
Yeah.
He's an alchemist. He's a guy.
Blasphemy.
Damn, guess what? I got off with his head. I'm like, damn.
He's a blasphemer.
I would have been guillotined about 30 minutes ago after the first two buzzes went off. Like, kill him, he gotta go.
Right.
He can't be here no longer.
From what I heard, they were trapping back in the day.
I told you he was still a nigga. You thought he was one of us because of his light skin. He's a blasphemer and a nigga.
You know what I'm saying? So it just right. It's just very interesting, bro. It would have been those people that probably would have thought you was a warlock for having a cell phone and communicate with FaceTime.
Man.
And they were like, "No, you got you have magic."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just funny to see the evolve, like people evolving and things changing as things progress in terms of the existence. And like where people were before, it's almost like I always call it the video game effect, the console effect. You saw placing graphics, you was like, man, it's the best graphics in the
Yeah.
world.
And you go back.
Now you look back like little things look fun. That was your
Moving
perspective.
blocks.
That's right. At the very moment, that was your perspective because that's all you can do. You know what I'm saying? So we got these
Yeah,
Bibles. He
that's
talked about it
all.
on the podcast. Like, well, you know, Jesus came back. Like, man, you ain't write nothing new.
Right.
You ain't had no new concept. Ain't nobody else walked on. Ain't nobody else challenged anything or did anything that was prolific. And then when they did do it, they get murdered, you know, by somebody that's closest to them or somebody they didn't know. I mean, we've seen that happen countless times, but it's not the same substitute. So we're still following that, you know, thing within, the, you know, those concepts. And I'm not knocking. I take excerpts from the Bible. I love the Book of Job. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not hypocritical. I love the Book of Job. I love Psalms. I like certain books in the New Testament as well. So shout out to y'all for creating that. You know, it's things I can take away from it. But if I follow everything to the T, will I really be myself? That's what I'm trying to get. Like, you know what I'm saying? Heaven and hell. You know, like, am I living in heaven and hell even now? Like, should I have to wait till I die to get to that point? You know, there's certain things I question. You know, And and then I don't get caught up in it. I just keep living my life and trying to fulfill purpose. I feel like I'm living in my purpose as we go. But I just say these things to kind of make people kind of stir certain thoughts. And if you think about certain things. Man. Like I said, play devil's advocate. So,
I feel like I'm going. I gave a homeless person $7 the other day.
Hey.
No, it's this one dude when I go on the way home from work, I pass this light off 35 every day, and he's always there with the sign and whatnot. Like, I think I've seen him probably like a good, 2 months.
Uh-huh.
And I think I've only seen one person ever, give him some.
Right.
And so one day I was just, cruising at the light, I was looked at my wallet, I saw some money sitting, I was like, you know what? You should go ahead and give him some. So I had like $7, I gave him some,
And are you doing that just because you want to go to heaven, or you just doing it because you
No, it's because I want to. And then at the end of it, and then there's some people who come and they'll be like, oh, he's just gonna go buy drugs or alcohol. People gonna do what they want to do. You know what I'm saying? Because like you said,
intentions was good.
Yeah, my intentions were good and whatnot, but like where you said is like, was that because I was trying to get in heaven or what? It's like, no, it's just somebody struggling. I'm in a position where I can help somebody else, and
and you're very well capable of doing it.
Yeah, of course. And so it was just, like I said, I saw him. Nobody ever seen him give everything except one time. And I was like, you know what? Here's some cash, gave it to him. And like I said, he can go down the street and go get him, a 40 ounce. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'll cheers with you, buddy. You know what I'm saying?
I do the same thing. I don't just keep them. I might buy the food versus that they ask for versus giving them the money. Like, you got any money? I'll go. How about I grab you a cheese? I don't want no cheeseburger. Then that means you're not hungry.
Yeah.
Because if you're hungry enough, you're gonna get a burger. And I don't care about going to heaven or hell. I don't care about just being.
So you just making sure that they're getting what they want.
That's it. And I feel bad sometimes, but I don't have it for everybody. And it's like, who created this system of money in order to say, well, I mean, that's almost being like, because like, if you got more money, you get the chance to have more women, more food, more abundance, more weed, more whatever you want. But if you have less, then you have less this, less that, less that, less this. So somebody else is creating.
And also, like, you can say there is a heaven and hell. You can do all of the good deeds in the world. They say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. There's literally a saying that says that. So it's like, you can do all of the greatest deeds and stuff in the world and still be a horrible person. So it's like, it's about where your heart is, bro. Like, where's your heart? Are you walking a path that is
It makes it sound like how you're saying, like, people who believe in other people, like, it makes it sound like, so is there someone younger who could look up to you? Is that right? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like
if you, not that you do it, like you said, if you have a good heart, that's not the saying that's your insurance of getting into there. But if it is, then somebody else could follow you.
Exactly, and we make the world a better place for you and I.
But it ain't gonna happen. I don't think I'll be alive to see any of the. Like how people are talking about how things are coming together and whatnot. Yeah, we all have those ideas.
Yeah, we could have done this millions of years ago. Oh yeah, if you want to come together, we can come together.
Humans gonna always be humans.
Yeah, it's always gonna be humans.
We only 1% away from chimpanzees in our DNA. So we always.
I didn't know that.
Genetic cognition.
Our DNA is only 1% away from that of a chip. So it's like. Listen, we as evolved as we like to think we are, we're really not that far along. And
what is some Planet of the Apes shit?
And it was like predicted for like mammals to exist for
like
2 million years.
The apes.
It was predicted for mammals to exist for 2 million years, and we're only like 100,000 years or something like that into that. So there's a lot of evolution left to go, but. Also, we now have nukes and stuff like that, so that's probably quite cut down. We might not make it even at 2 million, but
I hope they wise counsel because either way, making an emotional decision. You know what? Fuck you. Okay.
There's a lot of evolution.
A nuclear holocaust and everybody
start turning them keys.
Some people gonna make it. Some people because they got those barrels. They got those places underneath the ground, underground shelters and all that. The bomb shelters and all that.
Yeah.
People got money. They got that. Like the homie that made Facebook. That boy.
Oh right, he got the bunker.
Country underneath the ground. You know, like he good. He
for sure.
Set, just in case.
Ain't mad at him.
Because he know that human nature is erratic. And the more advanced we get, that's why it comes back to that theory. Like, I believe that we were very technologically advanced at one point in this same existence, and nothing's new underneath the sun, and we just kind of obliterated ourselves. And some people survived, some people didn't. Because it's ancient cultures that have underground shelters and stuff like that, or underground tunnels in cities underneath the ground and other like parts of the world. That they're like, why did they even create this in the first place? But they had predicted, you know, if you have the belief in heaven and hell, why do you need to create an underground sublet of a world? And because you expecting the world to be obliterated or come to an end. You know what I'm saying? So,
I mean, people who think like that, you know,
And we're not far from the history repeating.
at the end of the day, life continues on, and people. These are the only conversations we have when we sit down and kind of think about it. But at the end of the day, in continuation, people not caring about this. They come.
I mean, if you do care about it, like, you know, do you know, do what you've done in your everyday life. And if you think what you're doing is going to get there, then you'll get there. Don't get me wrong, but like,
exactly.
you said,
More importantly, focus on being a good person.
Yeah, of course, always.
Granted, I'm not, judging anybody. I'm just passing, conversation questions and just to challenge certain things to get people to think a little bit. But at the end of the day, you're still going to do you. You know what I'm saying? But again, I don't want to wrap it up, but we got to wrap this up.
Yeah.
You know, anything on Dave Chappelle, I know you got stuff to do, of course, but we appreciate y'all for chiming in. If you have any questions, want to make any comments, you want to hear from me, good or bad, say whatever you want. If you upset,
right.
do you
Let us
believe
know.
in heaven and hell? You know what I mean? So we appreciate y'all for chiming in with us. Taking the time out to actually watch this pod. And then we want to thank you for joining us as well, too.
I appreciate it.
This is spontaneous.
It was fun. I
It's
like that.
spontaneous, or I hope I'm saying it correctly.
Spontaneous.
Spontaneous.
Yeah, spontaneous.
Yeah, spontaneous. There we go. My name is Jacques Wright.
Adrian Peace.
This is the Nice Guys Podcast. You got social media? You got
No, I don't.
No social media. So again, if you want to chime up with Nick, you just have to see him in passing in life. He'll come holler at you. You know what I'm saying?
One of a kind.
Exactly. But thank y'all so much for y'all time and y'all patience and y'all love, and y'all stay peaceful. Stay blessed.
Peace.
Peace.